news on NFL Live. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels will not play on Sunday when they host the Raiders. Daniels is out with an injured knee, and veteran Marcus Mariota will start in his place. It'll be Mariota's first start since 2022 with the Falcons. He also was a former backup with the Raiders. Here's Dan Quinn on the decision.
We decided to start Marcus and said at the beginning we were going to be very diligent on his return to play and make sure we didn't miss any steps. So we're going to be smart, not just fast. And player wants to do everything all the time. That's who he is as a competitor, which I love. But that's how we'll roll.
Hey everybody, we are rolling with the entire gang today, Hannah Storm and all the rest. So RC, let's start with you. Daniels apparently was throwing in practice this week, ran maybe a little bit today. There are some positive signs. What do you think about this decision by the Commanders?
This is the absolute right decision. This isn't just about week 3 for the Washington Commanders. This is about week 17, week 18, and where they are as they're trying to get into the playoffs and make another run to the NFC Championship. Of course, the player wants to play. We all want to play. No one trains all offseason or works their entire life to become a starting quarterback and sit out games if they feel that they could go. But if you're Jayden Daniels, you have to look at the long-term effects of this injury and the way that you'll be able to play. I love that Dan Quinn is focused on taking care of his quarterback, but also having him as ready as he can possibly be for a stretch run down this NFC battle that's going to be extremely tight with so many good teams at the top.
Yeah, RC said a lot of how I feel and my sentiment when it comes to keeping Jayden Daniels out of this game. I'm actually excited to see Marcus Mariota play. The athleticism is there, and usually when you haven't been able to see a guy play and scout him, we've seen time and time again in this league that they go out and perform well. Marcus Mariota fits into that same vein, maybe not a better thrower of the football than Jayden Daniels, but can do enough to win games. This guy's had tremendous times in this league. He's played well at times in this league as well, and I'm sure DQ Dan Quinn is comfortable enough with Marcus Mariota playing not to put Jayden Daniels in harm's way, and I think that says a lot about Marcus Mariota and his preparation and his know-all with this team as well.
Yeah, and let's turn it to the other side, Dan. What does Pete Carroll's team need to do to beat his former defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, and the Commanders on the road?
They got to get Ashton Jeanty going, and they got to give him more chances. And I think it's twofold for me. One, he needs more carries. But two, they got to get him to the line of scrimmage to give him a shot. I mean, he's been hit behind or at the line of scrimmage the most in the NFL. And he's getting less than a yard down the field before getting actually contacted. And the way I've always thought about it is when you get into these situations as an offense and you're trying to get a guy at least going in your run game, less is more. And kind of simplifying their run game in an aspect of, I mean, I've watched Bruce Arians do this for years. I see the Bucs do it still. They get into like a double tight or even a bunch formation and they run duo. And it's just double teams, front side, and they at least give the back the chance to get to the line of scrimmage. And then it's up to him. The Raiders got to figure out this player a little bit more in their run game. They got to figure out ways to get him to the line of scrimmage and give him a chance.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I thought Jeanty was underutilized because he really does look good when he's been given some space. Another thing that frustrated me in the game on Monday that Dan called was how little they used their 2 tight end sets. Now, Brock Bowers was injured in that game, and I was texting Dan while he was calling the game, why aren't they in 12 personnel more? Yeah. Well, he's healthier now, so put him and Michael Mayer on the field on the same time. And if Washington matches that with nickel, that's what they've been doing a lot of this year, then you run the football with Ashton Jeanty because you're going to have a size advantage for him. But this offense to me kind of got away from what I think their core identity is. Tight ends on the field, run the football, play action pass off of it. It shouldn't be about spreading things out because these receivers are not good enough.
Okay, so let me get this straight. When Dan is calling a game, Mina, you are texting him as he's calling a game.
Confirming.
Bothering him, probably.
And do you text her back, Dan?
Post game, I'm trying to get better at not during game, but I do think I responded to that one, yes.
Okay, let's look at our picks.
You hit me at halftime.
That's so funny. Marcus, Mina, RC, and I are all on the Raiders. Dan, though, who called that game, he's on the Commanders. Real quick, Dan, why?
I think the desperation coming off of that game against the Packers, and I think this Commanders defense is a good, solid unit. Raiders are improved. I think Washington's a better football team.
Wait a second, Ryan, you changed your pick, so there's no score there. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, so my pick was Washington, but as we were talking about Jayden Daniels, I was like, I can't talk out of both sides of my face. I can't say Jayden Daniels is everything to this team and then saying they are going to perform at that same level without him. He's asked to do so much, and I have faith in Marcus Mariota. I believe that Marcus Mariota can make plays, but they need that Jayden Daniels piece to win.
Okay, so what's happening here? So Mina is texting people live when they're calling games. You're changing picks live when we're on the air, right? It is definitely
it's the
a
chaos.
Friday. Yes. All right, Josh Allen and the Bills hosting Tua and the Fiddle. The Dolphins with a 16-play, 71-yard drive just before the half were tied. Now drive alive, and now it's 2nd and goal from the 5. Tua looking in the end zone, and he finds Hill. And we are tied again at 21. Oh, but then there's this. The Bills punting. Cameron Johnston puts it at the 2, but there is a flag on the play, just an awful penalty, as Zach Sealer is called for roughing the kicker. So that is 15 yards because of this that you're watching there. I know you can hear Mina like, oh no. And the Bills drive continues. That was key. 2nd and 5 now inside the red zone. And Allen throws a screen pass to Khalil Shakir, and Shakir does the rest. Now the Bills are on top, 28-21. Next drive, we're 1st and 10 from the 21. The right guard misses the block on Deion Walker, who is into his face. He doesn't see the play. Terrell Bernard reads it perfectly. Interception, game over. Here is Mike McDaniel.
I'm never proud of a loss, and I'm not. We came here to win, and I refuse to take moral victories as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. It wasn't good enough, so that's where I'm at.
Dan, the harsh reality is only 6 teams in NFL history made the playoffs after an 0-3 start. What did you see from Tua in this one?
Well, I think, first of all, talking about Buffalo quickly, it continues to be one of the most creative and diverse run games in the NFL. The different ways that they get through so many different runs, both people and schematically. Kudos to Buffalo. I think with Tua, it looks like he's lost his superpower. Tua's superpower has always been cut the ball loose before you should cut the ball loose. Throwing the ball before they're open, moving guys to open those windows and cut the ball loose. And I don't know if it's because that first week, a poor performance on the road against Indy, but he's a guy who's always said, I trust my eyes, I see them open, and I cut it loose. And right now, it looks like he's waiting specifically for a player like Tyreek Hill to get open and then cut it. His eyes right now are reactive rather than proactive. I want Tua to get back to playing his style of quarterback.
Dan, to me, he looks like a quarterback that's lost all confidence as well. And I don't always try to read into the words of a player, right? When a player comes out and says, hey, I'm telling Tyreek, don't expect me to throw it 80 yards. You may have to stop. Or when speaking about Josh Allen and saying something that is true, saying I can't do half of what he does. Where's the confidence in what Tua is good at? And the thing is this, when your superpower is not linked to anything physically, that superpower can't wane. If you don't have the strongest arm, if you don't have the most velocity, if anticipation is your thing, you always have to be on top of that. If reading a defense is your thing, you have to be on top of that. And I thought Mike McDaniel actually did a masterful job of creating easy throws for Tua, yards after the catch, getting playmakers in space. But when Tua Tagovailoa was asked to do the one thing, to carry this team to a touchdown, to tie this game late, he made the mistake. And you just cannot do that. The loss can't be on him.
Yeah, that was just a really basic football 101 play, and he couldn't see it, didn't read it, and here we are. All right, Mina, the Bills are the NFL's first 3-0 team. They did say, Josh Allen said afterwards they do have room for improvement. But what's your biggest takeaway from them last night?
Yeah, I mean, people always talk about, they don't have elite receivers. They have an elite run game, and it is a joy to watch. Dan talked about this. They do everything, inside zone, outside zone. Think is moving bodies out there, by the way, yell football. And then on top of all of this, they have a running back in James Cook who takes what is already a great run game and then elevates it. Going back and watching his explosives, I am just constantly amazed by his vision. I think he might have the best vision, by the way, right now of any back in the NFL. He seems to always find the exact right path, the exact right moment to press, and then he creates after the fact. The only thing I would say, Alan said they want to improve on something. I'd like to see an explosive passing attack, maybe a play action passing attack built off of this run game, because defenses are so afraid of it, but that's not something that they needed last night.
Yeah, MK, I'm along lines with you. And Dan, stay out of me and Mina business. You were supposed to be talking about the Dolphins, all right? Let us have the Bills. We know you love to wax poetic about the Buffalo Bills. Here's the thing, man. We like last night watching that game, and I understand what you're saying, Mina, about the explosive passing game. But I do love something that Josh Allen is doing, and he's been a distributor when needed. Like there'll be games where they'll have to try to blow the top off. But his ball distribution and how many people he's getting involved in what they're doing offensively. Elijah Moore showed up last night as well in the jet sweep game, in the passing game in the middle of the field. This team is as complete as I've ever seen them. And I know that's saying a lot. They played a lot of great football. And we talked about Josh Allen and what he does so much. But this offense is so mature. And they understand situational football as well as anybody in the NFL. That's what's so impressive about what this offense is doing behind Josh Allen and Joe Brady.
Yeah, and 6 first downs on throws outside the pocket, most of anybody in the NFL. We are just getting started in Philly on Sunday. Playoff rematch between the Eagles and the Rams, both teams at 2-0. So let's build out a play sheet presented by ESPN Sportsbook, and we're going to do it with the one, the only Swagoo. All right, so we're going to start with Matthew Stafford, Swagoo. Over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. What do you think?
I'm going over. Matthew Stafford throws 2 touchdowns before he steps out of bed in the morning. And we've seen this Philadelphia Eagles secondary give up some plays on the back end. So I expect him and Puka Nacua and obviously Devontae to see that end zone more than 1.5 times.
Okay, this is a good one. Over under 90.5 rushing yards for Saquon.
One of the most difficult ones I've had in a minute. I'm going under.
Whoa.
But I had in the back of my mind, it only takes one run for him to get at least halfway there with his explosion. But I think the Rams are going to try to make Jalen Hurts throw this football downfield in order to beat him. And they also have to be careful of Jalen legs, which I think can be more devastating than Saquon out of the backfield. I'm going to go under for 90.5 yards.
Well,
not
that is
on
bold.
purpose,
bold.
Just rushing yards.
Okay. Oh, just rushing yards. Okay, because yards from scrimmage is a whole other story. Okay. Over under 63.5 receiving yards for our guy, A.J. Brown.
I'm going over. I got to believe that A.J. has 7 to 8 books in his locker, and he's probably going to bring them all out to the game in order to get him involved and let him start putting his stamp on these games. He's too good of a player not to at some point explode. What would a better time be than against the Los Angeles Rams, a team that everyone expects to be there in the playoffs, and these teams potentially have to see each other again. He wants to remind them. I'm going over for A.J. Brown.
By the way, this is crazy. You know, the Eagles are the only team in the NFL without a passing touchdown. That is just wild going into week 3. Swagoo, with everything you just said, a $10 bet wins you just over 46. I like it. I like it. Okay, right now, ESPN Bet customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 bet. Score more from the game with the Sportsbook for sports fans. Sign up with the promo code LIVE to get started today. All right, let's go to the other team in Pennsylvania. We have the Steelers at the Patriots. It's very interesting to see how Aaron Rodgers handles this Patriots pressure. The 41-year-old has more sacks under pressure this season than he does completions. And his quarterback rating, which is on a scale of 0 to 100, just in case y'all forgot, it's a 6. The Patriots have a league-high 9 sacks this season. And look who's here. She is the Steelers. She is our Brooke Pryor. She's with them every day, knows them better than anybody. They're coming off that tough loss to the Seahawks. What's the vibe around Pittsburgh right now?
Well, Hannah, Aaron Rodgers isn't exactly spelling out relax by any means, but that is the vibe that he's giving off. Earlier this week, he talked about it not being a binary system, that they should be measuring success and not in wins and losses, although that is how the NFL measures success. But that wasn't Rodgers' message to the locker room. And I was out at practice earlier this week. Thursday, I thought, was the best day of practice the Steelers have had in a long, long time. I am not permitted to tell you exactly what was happening, but I can generally tell you the vibes were good. The music was loud. The sun was shining. There wasn't like a rainbow over the Monongahela or anything like that. But I do think that this team is not panicking. And while there is frustration on the defense, it's not the woe is us frustration that I felt at the end of last season. But I
don't care if the sun's shining. I don't care if the radio loud. You know what I used to hear that was loud in Pittsburgh? When the pads popped from the defensive line, when the linebackers inverted the line of scrimmage and played on the offensive side of the ball. When every time I watched the running back play the Pittsburgh Steelers, that if it was Breece Hall, if it was Kenneth Walker III, they didn't look like Fred Taylor, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Adrian Peterson. The first week of the season, you had me thinking that freaking Justin Fields and Breece Hall were going to be Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And then Kenneth Walker, who can't gain an inch in week 1 against San Francisco, absolutely goes off and calls game when I felt like they were just trying to run some clock. It's not about Aaron Rodgers, and I know we want to focus on that. It's about everybody else playing better around him on the defensive side of the ball, in the protection, running the route right routes, being in the right place, creating the run game. The Pittsburgh Steelers need wholesale changes right now. And I'm not talking about roster. I'm talking about attitude and execution if they expect to beat this team this week, because Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson are coming, and Drake May is on the ascend.
Yeah, very fair point. That defense has been underperforming, certainly to what we expected and what the standard is in Pittsburgh. And let's talk about Drake May, who had his career-high passer rating in Week 2. Dana, what do you expect?
Yeah, and I think in Week 2 he showed remnants of a young Josh Allen, remnants of a young Ben Roethlisberger. I think some of the things that I liked out of that performance in conjunction with Josh McDaniels was, one, he allowed the young man's athleticism to be at the forefront of the game. And throws on the run were a big deal. I think empowering him at the line of scrimmage allowed him to get into some better plays that led to really good decision-making by Drake May, and it allowed him to become a playmaker, a weapon for this football team. That's kind of who he is athletically. If that's the version, like if this is the baseline of what Drake May is going to be for New England moving forward in a still undermanned offensive unit, not only do the Steelers have a problem defensively, but so does the AFC East and the AFC. This was the best game of Drake May's career. This should be who he is in this springboard to year 2.
All right, let's check out our picks for this one. Swagoo is back and is the only one on the Patriots. Why, Swagoo? Real quick.
Because of what RC just talked about. Listen, I know that there are big-time names over there in that Steelers defense, but those guys look so detached from each other. They're not playing as a unit. You still see the individual greatness with TJ Watt. We saw Jalen Ramsey obviously make plays at end of games, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's as simple as everybody just doing their job. That's the first thing you want to get back to when you're struggling as a defense, is every man be one of 11 and take care of your space. But right now, they struggling. I think Drake May and this offense is ascending in New England.
And you know what's crazy? They've lost their last 4 games in Foxborough by an average of 20 points.
We don't play well there. I thought it was Tom Brady, but it's not. It's not Tom Brady.
You know, the sun might be shining in Pittsburgh, and that's for later, and I'm sure that comes as no surprise. Chargers finally get to open at SoFi. How their play action could decide this matchup. Justin Herbert has been arguably the best in the NFL on play action throws this season, ranking top 3 in yards, QBR, and touchdowns. That Broncos defense has yet to allow a touchdown on play action. You know, it's a really interesting week because we have these 2-0 Chargers, a real opportunity. They have 3 straight division games to start the season, Mina. How do you expect them to game plan for that defense?
Yeah, you go to attack the Broncos man coverage, which they play a lot of. A couple things that come to mind. You really saw the Colts go after the Broncos linebackers in particular and safeties. I also think, though, this is a real opportunity for Ladd McConkey, who was 4th league-wide last year in yards per route run against man coverage. Greg Roman is so good at using condensed formations and bunches to create traffic for him over the middle of the field, and then McConkey's shiftiness and breakaway speed does the rest. The Denver Broncos defense is very good, but they're a little bit predictable. And if you can have a game plan for how to attack it the way Indianapolis did, this Chargers defense can flourish.
Yeah, Mina, I think it's funny you mentioned been predictable because Justin Herbert's been predictable, but predictably good, predictably in a good way here. I think he has been unflappable for the first 2 games. And the thing that I think about the most when I watch him play, 72% completion at this point, no turnovers. I think about a conversation I had with a league exec a couple years ago where I said, look, if you're starting an NFL team from scratch, what quarterback are you taking? And he said Justin Herbert. And at this point, Patrick Mahomes had won some Super Bowls, and he still went with Herbert. And the way he has played through the first 2 games is why he has been great under pressure. I think this is a bad matchup for Denver. I'm excited to see him take this show back home to SoFi.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I would love to see Justin Herbert. Obviously, they're going to try to push the ball down the field. They're having a lot of success at it. But I did watch Jonathan Taylor go for 165 against Denver as well. So I'm sure Mario Hampton and this offensive line is licking their chops when an opportunity against this defense. And the gap integrity and the communication between the front and the linebackers are a problem right now for the Denver Broncos. They need to make sure that they're cleaning up areas for each other. But these perimeter runs that you see here from the Los Angeles Chargers are the ones that they're devastating people with while also being able to run the ball in between the tackle. And me and RC played this game for a long time. We played defense. We played on some really good defenses in our time when we was in the league. And we know every time you give up 100 plus, the first thing your defensive coordinator says is that this is a copycat league. So you better get ready to buckle your chin strap because it's coming again.
RC knows exactly what you're talking about there. RC, let's go to the other side because Bo Nix has 4 turnovers this season. What are you looking for when they match up against that talented Chargers defense?
Yeah, like that's the one thing, right? We talk about Justin Herbert so much. The Los Angeles Chargers didn't just light up the scoreboard at Allegiant Stadium. This defense came up with 3 turnovers of Geno Smith by way of interception. And right now, when you look at these 2 teams, I'd take the Chargers defense over the Denver Broncos. We watched Bo Nix play a better game against Indianapolis than we saw week 1 against Tennessee, but a part of what happened against Tennessee was the pressure. How does the Chargers defense create pressure, and what's going to be the answer to that? When you saw Sean Payton call that game against the Colts, it was about half rows, it was about boots, getting the football out of his hands quickly, and there were also a lot of RPO games that gave Bo Nix the option of giving the ball or getting it out of his hands quickly. I look forward to seeing this chess match between Sean Payton and Jesse Minter, who is a rising star in this league, because that talented Chargers defense is a big reason why Justin Herbert can also have so much success, because they are very difficult to score on.
Again, already early, but an important division game. As we check out our picks for this one, we are all, I know, there it is. I know. Wow. It's the dreaded gong. I know, Mina. It's awful. But you know what? It's not that bad. We are actually 5-3 so far this season when we all pick the same
Hannah, it can't
side.
be awful and not that bad.
No, it
can't be both.
Wait, I'm not the one who changed my pick in midstream, okay, early in the show, RC. So it can't be semi-awful and not that bad.
Should I do it, y'all?
The glass is half full and half empty. Let's go. All right, let's move on.
It won't matter now. The screenshots.
You're right. The screenshots there, Mina, and you know the Chargers love that. New on NFL Live, some conflicting reports out of Dallas. Cowboys reporter Todd Archer posted that Jerry Jones said he expects Jadeveon Clowney to play Sunday against Chicago, but they didn't have an idea of how much their newly acquired defensive end would play. And then Archer posted that Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer said it's still up in the air as to whether Clowney will play against Chicago. So speaking of, equivocating, I don't know. We may or we may not have Jadeveon Clowney this weekend. Who knows, right? It's the Cowboys. One thing we do know for sure is that the Cowboys defense will play a lot of zone coverage against the Bears on Sunday. Dallas leads the NFL in zone. Caleb Williams has seen a ton of it. 45 of his 65 passes this season have been against the zone. He has only completed just over half of them. And Dan, this is his 3rd game in Ben Johnson's system. What are you watching for in this matchup?
So can he play faster in Ben Johnson's system? So everyone continues to talk that Caleb needs to play faster. I think the context of that matters. Jared Goff in the 3 seasons under Ben in Detroit, on average, over the course of those 3 years, it took about 2.8 seconds for him to throw the football, okay? Right now, Caleb's at about 3.1. So we're talking 0.3 of a second different. That's a significant difference in the NFL. That's the difference between a completion, incompletion, completion, batted ball, interception, a sack fumble, or getting the ball out. What I also need everyone to understand is this, like, this offense asks their quarterback to hold it a little bit longer than others. We can't expect Caleb to get the ball out in 2.3, 2.4 seconds on average. That's the Patrick offense. That's the Joe Burrow offense, the Tua offense. So in the context of this offense, something that everybody can look at for improvement, not only this week, but moving forward, is Caleb playing in this offense faster or close to as fast when it comes to getting rid of the football as Jared Goff did? If that's starting to trend in a good direction, that shows improvement for me. But I think the context of this offense and the play action element of it and asking the quarterback to hold it longer than others, that has to be a part of the conversation.
Dan, I wanted to obviously talk about this game, but I got a question for you because I think it's super interesting what you brought up with Caleb. Okay, do you feel like he's taking those chances and opportunities that I've heard you talk about so much the really good quarterbacks take, or is that why it may be 3.1 seconds?
He takes them outside of the pocket. He doesn't take them inside of the pocket, because I think that inside of the pocket, he's not as confident. And I think he's trying to play in structure. I think he's trying to play in the rhythm. And so it's the process, Marcus, of like trying to do the right thing. And I would tell you sometimes, I want Caleb to treat the check down like the outlet. Like it's the only thing left. And sometimes he gets the ball to the check down the back because they're open. I want you to exhaust your progression. Exhaust it. Nothing else is there. Find your outlet.
Well, he takes those chances when he's comfortable. Obviously, he's not the only guy on the team, and we have some news about some of his teammates from Courtney Cronin. This is new on NFL Live. The Bears will have several defensive players out Sunday, including Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards. Also, running back DeAndre Swift is questionable. Goodness gracious. Mina.
That can throw for 500.
Mina, this is a Bears defense that gave up 52 points to the Lions last week. Goodness. When you hear this, what
ain't no sense in talking about it.
What?
Ain't no sense in talking about it. Mina, what you had for dinner today? What you had for dinner today, Mina? I mean, what you gonna eat for dinner today?
Sorry, Lenny actually disconnected my cord. I'm back. Okay.
It's a rhetorical question.
Really what happened, he jumped in.
But, give us something anyway, Mina.
The Bears' pass defense has been awful, and those injuries are a big part of why they've been awful. Their run defense has also been really bad. So I was looking up the Cowboys' defense over the middle of the field because I was thinking about the offense and how they could attack, and I saw a number that took my breath away. On passes over the middle of the field, the Bears' defense are allowing a passer rating of 158.3. Y'all know that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? I know they played the Lions and the Packers. There are two teams that are very good at attacking there, the Vikings. But extraordinary. And Cowboys got a quarterback who loves himself a seam ball. I think it's going to be a long day at the office for this pass defense, especially when you see those cornerbacks who are out. Man, I'm not feeling good about that.
And yet, despite everything you've just heard, one person here today is on the Bears for this one. Brooke.
Okay,
Brooke.
Brooke.
We got
Brooke. Floor is yours, Brooke. Let's go.
I know that it's
Change it, Brooke.
I know.
Change it, Brooke.
I know that it is Flip-Flop Friday here at NFL Live, but I'm going to stay on the Bears, even though we just went through every single reason why I should change my pick. But I'm sticking with it because I believe in Caleb Williams, and I think this is an opportunity against a rough Dallas defense, rough not in a complimentary way, in a way that it's really struggled. Maybe this is the game he gets his confidence back. Maybe this is the game that he can change the narratives about him not preparing well, about not practicing with that kind of intention, that championship level practice, going against his old coach. I know that Eberflus has just as much of a revenge, but I'm sticking with the Bears.
Okay, I
Way to
love
be a
it.
good teamate, bro.
Well, we
I like the
appreciate you.
confidence. Yes,
We
thank
We
you.
appreciate you in
I will
Dallas.
Worthy is listed as questionable for the Chiefs Sunday night matchup. Meanwhile, Jordan Renan also posted that New York's left tackle Andrew Thomas working his way back. Finally, he is questionable after missing the Giants' last 2 games and much of last season. All right, we are going to start with that game for our Week 3 locks and keys. We'll also tell you something that we're going to guarantee that's going to be a lock. Something that will play a big role in determining the outcome. That is a key. We're here in the film room, which makes it extra special. RC, give us a lock in this one.
I mean, the first lock for me is the fact that Malik Neighbors will have 10 targets. Listen, when you think about the way that the Kansas City Chiefs have been blitzing, leaving people in zero coverage one-on-one, somebody's going to have to cover number 1. And if we learned anything about Russell Wilson last week is that he knows Malik Neighbors down there somewhere. And so I look for Malik in those one-on-one situations to have opportunities at 50-50 balls down the field, especially after we saw the way the Eagles tried to attack them.
All right, Mina, what's the key here?
Well, this naturally follows. Don't give up explosives if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Ryan talked about the pressures. I think we'll see a lot of zone blitzes from Steve Spagnuolo. He's not going to leave his guys one-on-one versus Malik Neighbors. But they got to cut down on some of the miscommunications we saw earlier in the year, looked better last week. You know, we know what the story is right now with Russell Wilson at this point in his career, right? If they're going to beat you, it's going to be over the top. So that has to be a priority for Kansas City this week. Stop the explosive passes, and you can stop this quarterback.
All right, let's look at our picks, and we all expect the Chiefs. There it is again, to get their first win Sunday night.
I feel good about this one.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, this one's
It's the Chiefs.
Every time you say that, RC, we lose. We lose every time you say that. Every single time.
We collectively lose.
Every time.
You know what?
my
You know
fault.
what, Swagoo? Swagoo, the good thing is we lose together, right? We all go down together. All right, to the 0-2 Texans, short week at the 1-1 Jags. Swagoo, what is a lock in this one, my friend?
I think the lock is that the Houston Texans will turn over Trevor Lawrence, and I know that's going to be something on Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence's mind as far as taking care of the football. But this defense is going to have to create turnovers. This offense is struggling mightily. They're going to have to give them some really good field position and get CJ in this offense in some scoring positions where they can punch it in the end zone. Obviously, at the end of the game last week, they were able to get Nick Chubb on a big run at the end of the game to get into the end zone. But I think this defense is going to have to become that catalyst for the Houston Texans as much as I've watched this offense struggle.
Let's hope so. Dano, give us the key.
I think the Houston Texan defense has got to handle the two-headed monster at running back in Jacksonville. Travis Etienne and Tutin are become really good backs. And I think they're different. Tutin's vision is absolutely sensational. If you give that young man a cutback lane, he will take it. I love his usage in the screen game as well. Travis Etienne's that power, get the touches guy. But if Houston doesn't handle both of these backs in the different way they're used, sometimes Travis is on the perimeter, Tutin's a little bit more in between the tackles, Jacksonville can have success against this defense in their run, but both perimeter screen game.
All right, let's take a look at our picks, and here we go.
This one on swag. That
Okay.
one ain't on me.
Now-
I ain't taking
Whoa.
it.
Wow, wait, what? What are you
I'm
saying,
not.
RC?
It ain't on me.
What?
Ain't
Why?
on, it's on swag.
What?
Ain't on me.
Don't put it on me. I just picked my team. I didn't remember pick the team. I didn't even talk to y'all.
I'm surprised by this
I
one.
didn't even talk to y'all. I just picked my team.
RC, this is on everybody.
Sound like that.
How did I get in this?
Okay.